I started on Khan Academy down the Algebra 2 rabbit hole, and I want to issue a thesis statement about all of this. The education system punishes mistakes, even though mistakes are how humans learn. It sorts people instead of actually teaching them. We need mastery based education, not points based obedience. You know, and in order to make this into my personal manifesto, we are taught to believe in failure in school proves failure in the student. But the truth is simpler and uglier. The system is bad at teaching, and the process is broken. Human beings learn by trying, erring, getting corrected, and trying again. Language learners know this. Musicians know this. Craftsmen knows this. Engineers know this. Only in education do we pretend the first draft should count as destiny. A system that punishes mistakes more than it supports correction does not exist to teach. It exists to sort. A system that advances students with cracks in the foundation and then blames them when the upper floors collapse is not rigorous. It is, in fact, negligent. A better model is not mysterious. Let students retry. Let gaps be repaired before progression. Let assessment diagnose before it condemns. Let prior knowledge count. Let mastery matter more than calendar time. And let education certify competence instead of rationing dignity. We do not need prettier language for the same broken machine. We need a fundamentally different machine. Nonviolent, serious, relentless pressure for mastery-based learning is not extremism. It is common sense. People should be allowed to become good at things. At my college, when I paid for it, I remember coming to class and everything and taking a test and bombing the test pretty badly by getting, a very low grade of like 40% on it when it came. I mean, it came in and it was just really abysmal results on the whole thing that he threw at me. And then we just move on to the next, course and the whole thing. And, I'm left to feel that this failure is my fault. Of course, my teacher will not even begin to accept that maybe it's his, because he feels, he's made very clear from day one in the course that, he thinks that whatever happens to you is entirely your fault and your responsibility. Bullshit, sir. You're delusional. Your worldview is bullshit. You exist at the helm of a broken system with a broken process that insists that the calendar is the way that determines whether competency is reached in the first place. You push people through an arbitrary calendar system and everything, and in order to comply with the calendar, you just test them once and treat the test result as destiny instead of going back and fixing the mistakes the students had and relearning the subject until everyone actually has the subject bolted down at hand and everything. You know why I'm going over to teach myself this shit with Khan Academy? It's because I don't need you to learn the subject. You are obsolete, and you exist to serve a system that is completely rotten at its most vital inner core, especially because courses are only 9 weeks, you only are in there for 9 weeks of the year for a semester. You're defending a system that's broken and acting like, because I didn't do well in your course, it's my fault. No, it fucking isn't. I reject your thesis. I reject your supposed reality and your worldview and declare that it is toxic, psychotic, and nothing more than a fucking distortion. Your worldview is warped, your assessment is invalid, and how you see things has nothing to do with the truth. What you think is just an error. Your perspective is entirely warped and completely, categorically, 100% invalid. How you see things and the world has nothing to do with how the world and I actually am. Your assessment is invalid and you can get fucked. Fuck you and the foundations for which your worldview rests on, Professor. I will take agency over my own learning and go down a mastery rabbit hole. Fuck you and the earth on which you stand. You don't get to tell me anything. You don't get to deny me anything, Professor. I'm just mad, you know? I'm angry. I mean, how could you not be? When you start to realize that the plumbing in the system is broken, you know, it becomes hard to unsee it. When you start to realize that, you know, our education student system is trying to make it seem like people like me who are starting down this rabbit hole are just bad students or bad at, you know, we're not meant to be mathematicians or whatever, you know, when you go down that, when you make them, the conclusion that you've come to is not right. It's wrong. You know, and the fact of the matter is that the system is clinging to an immoral process. You know, there is a moral imperative to make these systems better. And yet, here we are, you know, acting like only people that can thrive within that rotting fucking shit pile of a plumbing system over there at Portland Community College, you know, are truly fucking, you know, meant for it or whatever. You know, the system rewards people who are able to go along, get along to the rotting foundation of a system that doesn't support mastery-based instruction, you know? I'm not having it, you know? I'm just not. I'm just... I just can't, like... The system is so broken if you become too difficult. They weed you out, you know? If you challenge the system, you know, it becomes a career-limiting option to do it. And it's crazy. This is fucking insane. You live at the behest of a system that everybody already knows is broken, and yet, you know, people continue to shuffle in the door, you know? How could you see this and not just rage? I mean, what were we even paying for?